Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Param Subrajacharya Sutra Saraswama Suddham Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Santo Bhoti Vaishnava ki jai, Namacharya Srila Hridas Thakur ki jai, Prem Jataho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Kunda Radha Kunda Virgavardhan ki jai, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, सावेत भक्तवृंद की जय, all glories to the assembled devotees,
Hare
all
Krishna.
glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Yeah.
So Hare Krishna, everyone. Please come in. Those who are at the back, there's plenty of space at the front. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON 60th anniversary ki jai.
Yeah.
So we're very blessed, fortunate, and honored to have with us tonight some wonderful devotees. First, we have our first speaker, will be His Holiness Chandrashekhar Maharaj. I have a short biog to read about Maharaj. So Maharaj was initiated in 1976 and joined in Berkeley, California. Traveling around the western states, raising funds and distributing books. And after traveling extensively in the Orient, he spent considerable time managing in New Vrindavan. GBC asked him to come to New York in 2004.
Yeah. 2004.
And he's been regretting it ever since. In 2004, and he's been here ever since, serving at Radha Govinda Mandir and also 26 Second Avenue, and is now also serving as, this says TP in Long Island. Is that correct?
We're like a 2 or 3 member organization in Freeport.
Okay. So feel very blessed and honored to have Maharaj with us here tonight. Please let us chant very loudly. Hari Bol. Holiness Chandrashekhar Maharaj ki jai.
So it's my time to speak in this, and I have till when? I've got 6 till 7. So it's almost 7 o'clock now. So I speak until what time? 7:30. Okay. All right. I have my own clock. It's important to bring it because I've known it's very traditional Vaishnava. process to always have a clock that doesn't work in the back of the room. That doesn't happen in the Brooklyn Temple, but it does happen in most of that. I remember there was a clock right back there that consistently told the wrong time. So I could look back there and know what time it wasn't. So, at any rate, so I bring my own clock with me because otherwise I'll just run into who knows what. All right, so this is a very momentous occasion here. I have to comment before I start that last night I watched the video of Smara Hari giving his little talk in I guess it was the Brooklyn Temple for the Sunday feast. It was very, very nice. I thought, this is the man that should be giving the, lead into our program here today. But very nice, about Prabhupada and what he did for us. And I always think that even when I'm here, it's hard to just wrap my head around the fact that this location here one time had Prabhupada here. And Prabhupada at one time had no other organization anywhere else, but he just started with a few devotees here. And he would give class, and he would sometimes make some prasadam, and people would gradually become attracted, and eventually it became his disciples. Eventually the disciples became his managers. Eventually the managers became temple presidents. Eventually temple presidents became full-on organizers of a worldwide movement. So who'd have thunk it, as they say, that they would start in such a humble, such a small place. And even now we're still here. And, I understand it intellectually, but I find it hard to really feel it very deeply internally. And I swear to God that if Krishna himself manifested here suddenly in the room, I would think, is it really Krishna or is it a hologram or something like that? That's, I know that's the way I think, and I know that's the way it is, but one day I'll break through and have some genuine emotions, some genuine feeling for spiritual life, for Srila Prabhupada and what he gave us. And I was thinking, that he really gave so many things. He gave so many things. What did Prabhupada actually do? Well, of course, one thing that Prabhupada inaugurated that we would have never known about, never heard about, never had any inroad into, and that is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So we chant Hare Krishna. Who would have known anything about this process of chanting? That we could just hear a sound. And even now, I think that the most difficult thing about the holy name, the most difficult thing, it's as I tell people sometimes, you don't have to pay big money to have it. You don't have to go to some far away, distant, hard to get place in India. You don't have to be some kind of sage and live on fruits and roots for weeks. You don't have to learn some foreign language. You don't have to, be very strong physically. You don't have to be some kind of intellectual Einstein brain or anything like that. But the hardest thing about the holy name is to convince yourself that it means something and you should do it. Do it every day. And that you should focus your whole life on just trying to hear it. Even though we hear the sound, we don't really melt into it. We don't really become fully absorbed in it. At least I don't. I struggle. And in doing that, I know that Krishna is actually there. But the reason I don't experience Krishna, is because my heart is so covered over. So I know he's there. And intellectually, I can understand that. Maybe one of these days I'll emotionally understand it, which goes with what I was saying about being here or being involved in Krishna consciousness in any way. So one thing that Prabhupada brought for us is the holy name. Another thing that he brought for us was the books. Particularly when Prabhupada was coming to the United States, he was thinking, that I can't go there empty-handed. I have to have the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he thought about getting the Srimad Bhagavatam translated. He wanted to do it, and he wanted a 60-volume set. In the ultimate issue, it didn't wind up being 60 volumes, but he wanted a 60-volume set with all of the full 12 cantos. Now, you would think maybe that he would start off with Bhagavad Gita, but really he started off with Srimad Bhagavatam, because the Srimad Bhagavatam really explains the details of Vaishnava philosophy. There's so many philosophies in the world, and we see them, we hear about them, but none of them have any serious clout in the material world. How many people really follow Socrates, or how many people follow any of these great philosophers, Hegel or Kant, or these different individuals who actually had some importance in their day, but they didn't make a lasting philosophy compared to religious philosophers, compared to religious people who explain a philosophy based that is the center core of a religious tradition. Compared to that, these philosophers never achieved much of anything, really. But all these philosophies have no real focus. They have no real expansiveness, anything like the Srimad Bhagavatam. So when you read Srimad Bhagavatam, you begin to realize that everything is discussed and described. And Prabhupada wanted to give that to the Western world. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but I want to just kind of enumerate that besides, him giving the holy name, and then our literatures, our books of philosophical literature. Another thing Prabhupada gave us was a sadhana base. How can somebody in the modern day, in Kali Yuga, how can someone actually overcome the various difficulties that we have in the age of Kali and actually become focused on Krishna? We can hear the name, we can understand the importance of the name, but why would we stick with it? We might just move on to something else. And sometimes people do. They become a little bit enamored by the chanting of the holy name, but they decide that there are other important things and they move on to something else. So why would somebody stick with it? And that's because they understood the philosophy that's behind it, that this isn't just reverberating some redundant syllables over and over again. This is actually a channel. It's actually a mantra that will deliver our heart, deliver our mind, and deliver our lives from Kali Yuga if we just somehow connect with it very deeply. So aside from the chanting, aside from the philosophy, now we have this daily sadhana. We do certain things, we avoid certain things, we do them in a certain amount every day. And by engaging in this sadhana, even we may be working, even we may be involved in family life, any of these things. Even so, in Kali Yuga, we can still make progress. It's still possible to make progress. So all we have to do is to try to follow this prescription that we've been given. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. Sometimes the gusts of material nature blow so hard that we have to try to do our best to follow, and we can only follow some percentage, we can only follow some aspects of it. And we try as hard as we can to keep going forward, because there's only one direction, that is to go forward. So Prabhupada gave us a sadhana to follow. Now, Prabhupada also created a network of centers. We call them temples, but they're also gatherings and other things now besides just temples. And these various systems, they help a person to live for a while in the collection or in the association of devotees. And by living in the association of devotees, we learn that it's possible to be Krishna conscious. We learn that one can focus their lives actually on Krishna 24 hours a day. Most people will eventually go out and join household life, but we learn that it is possible that a person can be Krishna conscious 24 hours a day and work in a temple. And the temples are supposed to be locations where people can see what Krishna consciousness actually looks like when people are following it as their sole focus in life, their sole focus in life. So this is another thing Prabhupada gave us. He gave us a worldwide network. He also created a network of managers who can not only organize a temple, but as we have and we see in this program here, sometimes there are multi-temple programs where many different individual enclaves of Krishna consciousness cooperate together for a larger event, an event that can organize more than just one temple. Even if that temple happens to be large, it can organize a group of temples, and lots of devotees come together. Of course, one of the most noteworthy is the one we just celebrated, the Ratha Yatra, that just by Jagannath coming out on the street and people who had no idea, nothing to do with Krishna consciousness, they somehow hear about Krishna consciousness and they become involved. Myself, I never read any of Prabhupada's books. I never lived in a temple before I stayed permanently in a temple. I never had devotee association. Gradually through their preaching became convinced. I came to a Ratha Yatra, and that Ratha Yatra was in San Francisco, California. And I went 2 years to a Ratha Yatra before I actually joined in the first year that I went to a Ratha Yatra. I was dragged there by a friend of mine, and I wasn't interested in being there, but because he wanted to go, and I lived in San Francisco, but he was from Los Angeles. So I wanted to show him around the city, and that's what he wanted to do. So I literally lived 1 block away from where the Ratha Yatra started, because I was right there on near Stanyon at Oak Street, and the Golden Gate Park starts there. And so we didn't have to take a cab or drive. We just walked to the Ratha Yatra. And I went through the parade, some of it. And that was the one and only place that I ever saw Prabhupada face to face. I had no idea who he was. I had never heard of him. I didn't know anything about Krishna consciousness. But suddenly he was there in the Ratha Yatra parade on a palanquin. And I could understand he was an important person from the way that devotees reacted to him. But I didn't have any background to draw on. So I had really been looking for something to change my life. I knew that my life needed changing. I had found something that I think a lot of people experience, but most people don't know what to do about it. And that is when you do things and you achieve the things that you want to do, the life that you want to live, and it's still empty. You know, a lot of times people, they work, they want very hard to have a certain kind of situation. And no matter how hard they work, they don't have the money, they don't have the facilities, they don't have the resources, so they can't get what they want. But if you actually have the opposite thing happen, that you're able to achieve the situation you want, and then you find that it's hollow, that's even more disturbing to the mind. You think, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with this situation? And so I was looking for something, and I had planned several times. I thought, oh, now I'm doing this meditation. Now this will change my life. Now I'm doing this kind of practice. Now this will change my life. And each time, it never changed anything. And one day, I saw Prabhupada at a Rath Yatra, and it changed everything, but I didn't notice. I didn't change my life that day. I didn't do anything different that night than I would have anyway. But 2 years later, I wound up joining the temple in Berkeley. That's a whole story. But Prabhupada gave us a system of temples. He gave us an organization, and an organization that can organize more than just a single temple, but a whole group of devotees like we're doing now for this particular program. And Prabhupada gave us various festivals, and these festivals are on beyond the kind of things that happen in a regular temple, like the Rath Yatras. We have several Rath Yatras here. And here we're doing this program for the next 7 days, from today, the 16th to the 13th. Various devotees will be speaking about Prabhupada and what he gave us. And so Prabhupada, he was able to give us all these different things. And as I've kind of enumerated, of course, he gave us many more things than this, but the things that I was thinking about particularly were, you know, the holy name, the philosophy, the sadhana practice, the temple schedule, the management system, and eventually he created not just 2 or 3 temples, but he created a worldwide system of temples. And so as it stands now, you can go to practically any country, and you can become, if you look around for it, you can find a temple somewhere not too far away, and you can be part of their programs. Just this last Rath Yatra, there was a girl that was, I met the devotees at the Rath Yatra, and she lived in Long Island. And she found out where our temple was. And she came, and so she's come a couple of times now. She's very interested. Maybe she'll continue to come, so that maybe for her it's the first time that she's connecting with the devotees. And so these are different things that Prabhupada had given us. Now, we ourselves, if we want to stay focused in Krishna consciousness, we try to think of how Prabhupada particularly worked to give us the books, because that's one of the things that I think about a lot. That he started with the concept of 60 books. 60 books, that would be the Sanskrit translation into English of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which of course has 12 cantos. It's 18,000 verses. But Prabhupada started it with just the first canto, that he wanted to bring it with him when he came to the United States. Eventually, later on, once he got here, he did a translation of the Bhagavad Gita. But first, he was doing Srimad Bhagavatam. And as we know, that someone had mentioned, my dear Swamiji, why are you making magazines? You should make books. People take books more seriously. So this is what Prabhupada decided to do. He decided to make books. And the book he wanted to do was Srimad Bhagavatam. And so he talked to various printers, and nobody was interested in funding him to print 60 volumes of a single book, Srimad Bhagavatam. Nobody was interested in doing that. So he realized that he would have to do that on his own, that he would have to raise the money. Not only raise the money, but he would have to proof it, raise the money, translate it, and then figure out how he would eventually sell the books. So just imagine how much he was up against. And, if we did not have the Srimad Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita, then if we heard the holy name, would we stay with it? Would we understand the philosophy behind it? Would we recognize that this philosophy trumps and subsums all the other philosophies of the Western philosophical canon? So Prabhupada decided that he wanted to print the books, and he thought that he would connect with one Hitsaran Sharma. And this Hitsaran Sharma was connected with J.D. Dalmia. So he thought that this printer would connect me with this wealthy Indian man who had some kind of, I don't know whether his business was printing what he did, but he was a wealthy Indian producer of something. So Prabhupada went to Hitsaran Sharma, and he asked Hitsaran if he would recommend his concept of a 60-volume set of Srimad Bhagavatam to J.D. Dalmia. And Hitsaran said, well, I even if I tell J.D. Dalmia, he won't print in that way. You would best be served by going to Hanuman Prasad Podar. So this is what Prabhupada then did. He went to, I think it was to Gorakhpur or somewhere. Yeah. And he went to, which was almost 500 miles away from where Prabhupada was. And when he got there, he spoke with Hanuman Prasad Podar. And Hanuman Prasad was actually favorable enough that he immediately donated 4,000 rupees. I don't know what the exchange rate is. I think 4,000 rupees is something like $100 or something like that these days here. But that was enough for Prabhupada to begin to actually print. So he had some money that he could work with. So originally he went back and he connected again with this Hitsaran Sharma. And when he connected with him, he began the printing process of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada originally had the first canto in 3 sections. And so the first volume was gradually being put together. But Prabhupada found that Hitsaran Sharma, who was the manager of something called the Radha Press, that he only had 10-point type. And Prabhupada wanted 12-point type. I don't know if, when you deal with, doing various word and PowerPoint things, you see these types, you can see how big they are. And 10-point type is really tiny, you know, so it really strained people to read it. And Prabhupada had that right on, you know, that he wanted 12-point type instead. And Hitsaran Sharma's Radha Press didn't have it. So he decided to take the process over to Gautam Sharma. I don't know if they were related. They were both Sharmas. But Gautam Sharma ran something called the OK Press. And he had 12-point type. So then Prabhupada began to work diligently to provide translations, and then from the translations, he would give them to Gautam Sharma. Gautam Sharma would give back Prabhupada various proofs, and Prabhupada would proofread them. So Prabhupada was printing, he was translating, then he was proofing, he was raising the money, and eventually he would even be getting the paper, and he would be figuring out how he could, take this a step further and figure out how to actually sell the books. So Prabhupada had started this whole project, and now he wanted some favorable reviews of his Srimad Bhagavatam. So eventually he got a review from, what was his name? He got one from Zakir Hussain. He got one from Vishwam Das, who was a magistrate or the ruler of one part of India. He got a referral or a review from Bhakti Saranga and from also from Ban Maharaj. So he got these reviews written up, and when he got them written up, they had some clout. And from this, he was able to take his books to libraries, to various schools, and also universities. So Prabhupada began to take his books and pitch these different educational institutions to take his books on this, step-by-step installment plan that he would produce one, and then when the next volume came out, they would buy the next volume, and so on and so forth. So we can see how difficult and how complicated this was, that it was not at all an easy thing to do. And so when he was pitching his book to Zakir Hussain, Zakir Hussain asked him a question. He said, "Swami, how will this love of God help the world?" Which, I guess is a reasonable question, and, a materialist would generally have that kind of a question. How would this love of God save the world? Because I think most people don't really think about it. What is the one real problem in the world? There's only really one problem in the world. And that problem is that people have dirty hearts. That people want something for themselves and they don't care how they get it. And this leads to every other problem, overcrowding, hatred, wars, violence, class, persecution, and, every other thing, even pollution and economic inequalities and all these things. They all come from the fact that people have some desire, and they want that desire, and they don't care what it does to somebody else for them to get that desire. That dirty heart, if you solve that one thing, everything will automatically resolve. So, love of God, what Prabhupada was trying to give us was the most important thing. It was the most important thing that he wanted to get across. And of course, love of God is not some abstract thing. Many people think that, love of God is, oh, yeah, I love God, So, sometimes when the kids are singing Christmas carols, a little tear comes to my eye or something like, okay. But love of God is something deeper than that. Love of God is something more comprehensive than that. And it's a process that you won't walk down the street and trip over a piece of gum and suddenly develop love of God. It's something that you have to work for. Like people don't walk down the street and trip over a piece of gum and become suddenly a Boeing 707 pilot or become a, some kind of quantum physicist. You don't become one by accident. You become one by careful, applied study over a long period of time in a kind of rigorous way. So this is what Prabhupada actually was trying to give us in this process that was, he felt was so important to take his books, to translate them, to get them published. And of course, eventually he would bring them with him in 1965 to New York City. He would take a trunk with some of his books that he had managed to get published. Now, at one point, Prabhupada tried to get his books sold. So he went to various sellers, and, they little bit was selling here, a little bit was selling there. So at one point, he decided to go to Mumbai, I believe it was. And there, he stayed in some free ashram for a short time. And while he was staying there, the people at the ashram, they said, what kind of Swami is this? All he's doing is trying to sell books. Just seems like some kind of merchant or, businessman. How is he a Swami? So I think this is an important indication that sometimes Krishna consciousness doesn't look like what people think. No more. I know I'm gonna trip these over and it's gonna make a mess. So I'm just happy with the water I have. It should be sufficient. So sometimes Krishna consciousness doesn't look like we expect it to look like. Here Prabhupada was. What was he doing? He was proofing galley proofs. He was trying to find various outlets, various sellers for his books. He was doing his translation. He would go to Vrindavan, to Radha Damodar temple for that. And then he was trying to raise money to print more books. He was trying to get donations. So it appears that here's a man who is just dealing with printing. Here's a man just dealing with book publication. Here's a man trying to merchandise or market a particular product, these books. And how is this Krishna consciousness? And from an ancient traditional point of view, if we look at the way Krishna consciousness had unraveled and how it had been done for centuries, Swamis didn't print books. Swamis didn't travel around from one place to another, finding agents, finding sellers, finding donations, trying to meet with heads of state for various referrals and for various recommendations. This all seemed something foreign. So yes, there are, of course, very typical ways to distribute Krishna consciousness, but sometimes Krishna consciousness may not look like what we think it looks like. It may be a little bit different. So the goal of Krishna consciousness is somehow to spread Krishna consciousness. Yena tena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayet. So however we do it, we try to spread Krishna consciousness. And some people may do it in a standard, authorized, regular, traditional way. Some may do it in a different way. But Krishna consciousness should be going forward. So I'm right at a few seconds before 7:30, so I'll stop here. And we'll turn the class over to...
Holiness Chandrasekhar Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for a wonderful lecture and really starting off the week by taking us back to Prabhupada being in India and everything he was doing. You know, sometimes I think, as Maharaj says, it doesn't look the way that we think it should look, and sometimes it's like a fantasy. Prabhupada just floated in and, you know, everything just happened, but Prabhupada spent so many years in preparation and doing everything, every single thing to create those books. So thank you very much for that. His Holiness Chandrasekhar Maharaj Ki Jai. And so we'd like to invite... Sorry?
Yeah.
we got a bigger clap for you.
Get your own clock.
I would like to say something for 5 minutes.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Let me vacate this central focus of...
You okay, man?
Let's stand up. Okay. The other water has not been touched. Yeah, I have that one case first.
First of all, I hope I can get a recording of Maharaj's presentation. It was very, very nice, and there's actually much that you said that I would like to borrow to repeat to others. It was very, very well researched and documented. Thank you very, very much. One thing that Maharaj was talking about was Prabhupada first printing his books. We have to understand that Srila Prabhupada had absolutely no money. Even when he came to the United States, the money that he had would not buy you a jug of apple juice in Whole Foods. Of course, money had a different value in those days, but he didn't have enough money to buy apple, not the organic juice, the regular juice. So that was the thing. Prabhupada actually did it for nothing. So one time, there was a devotee in Vrindavan in the early days called Padmalochan, and he wanted to print a book about places in Braj, different holy places and their significance. So he did some research, and just as much of the light industry has left New York and gone over to New Jersey, so similarly, much of the light industry, including printing, had gone from Delhi over to Noida. So there was a paper market off Chandni Chowk, nice Sarak, where all the printing used to go on. But that had moved over to Noida. So Padma, he went over to Noida, he found a few places, and he went into one place, and the person was just like very delighted to see him. He said, I have met your Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. And Padma said, yeah, okay. And he said, yes, he said, we printed his book. And Padma said, yeah. He said, so my Guru Maharaj would come here to Noida to get his book printed? He said, no, not here. He said, this is a new concern. He said, I was just a little boy He said, in my father's print shop. And by these print shops, you can understand today a photocopy shop. A little photocopy shop. So the guy had a little press. There was no photocopy. That's how you got things done. There was so many different little family businesses. It was a little print shop. So Prabhupada would use one of these in Old Delhi, near to the Chipawadi Mandir where he was staying. He said, I was just a little boy. He said, and he said, your Guru Maharaj would come in, and he said, my father, he was always very respectful of him. So the little boy's learning, how to, so he said, Prabhupada, he would chastise my father. He said, why my book has not been printed? This is very important. You must get this printed. And his father would say to him, Swamiji, he said, I am printing your book and slowly it's getting done. But I also have to do my accounts for the people because this is my livelihood. And he said, Prabhupada would impress upon him that he must get this done. So he said, one time Srila Prabhupada said, he was very emphatic. He said, if you don't print this, he said, I will withhold payment. And his father said, but Swamiji, you said, you never pay me. How can you? How are you going to withhold payment? It's like, I've never been paid. It's like, I will withhold payment. But Swamiji. And so the little boy is just seeing how his father would deal with the sadhu. So it started with nothing, and that's what makes it all so much more amazing, and how grateful all of us have to be that now we have access to a whole culture. It's just, we are so fortunate. And the more that we think about it, and the more we hear from others how it has changed their lives, then most certainly we'll apply this process of Krishna consciousness very, very seriously. And Prabhupada would always say, go back to home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Smara Hari.
Musical cue.
So we are very fortunate to have His Grace.
Don't believe anything you read.
Okay. Everything I'm about to say is a lie. Blatant lie. Hansarupa Prabhu is a New Yorker, right? Native New Yorker. Initiated in 1974 at the Henry Street Temple in Brooklyn, famous. Later served at the legendary 55th Street.
Henry Street, 55th Street.
Yeah. Radha Govinda.
7th Avenue, Skirmahorn Street.
7th Avenue.
7th Avenue was in, we were planning, and this is all part of the history. It'll come out where they're actually printing a book at some point called Matchless Gifts, The History of New York. And that was after we moved from 55th Street. Prabhupada had told us he'd like to have reading rooms in restaurants. So Toshan Krishna and I had purchased a building on 7th Avenue between 54th and 55th Street, hotel room. And we were developing that. And then for some reason, realizing the mistake of having sold the 55th Street Temple, the GBC reversed themselves. No, now go buy a big building again after or so. We started to hunt for another building, and then we found Skirmahorn Street. Mm-hmm. So that's where how we ended up at Skirmahorn Street. Which is another long story, but I'll save it. You'll want to read the book. Lots of details.
Anyway, so much nectar. I don't want to interrupt it with this. So anyway, serving currently as the temple president, the Radha Govinda Mandir, since I think 2018, something like
2017.
17, okay.
Just seems like a short time.
So thank you very much, Hansarupa Prabhu. I'm very grateful to have you here and looking very forward to hearing.
I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to listen to Chandrasekhar Maharaj's recounting. It's like it becomes more and more nectar, like the sukha, the parrot. whose beak touches the bango. The devotees who have this deep realization of Prabhupada's pastimes are able to speak to him in such a palatable way. So I'm not so fortunate, but there's it is, and we're all very grateful that somehow or other, by the mercy of so many devotees who've collaborated together to preserve this facility for future generations. We can only imagine now being here at this time, at the 60th anniversary, that how important it is, and that those who recognized that critical need to preserve it, they should get all the blessings that the society can offer, because it's not an easy situation. Many times this particular location was almost lost. So some devotees may or may not know that. So that we have it now, and hopefully for the future, to inspire the next generations. Not just, I remember the good fortune of having been in New York and not having the good fortune of stopping in at Second Avenue, but it was here all the time, and somehow or other there was Prabhupada's presence was felt. Even I remember my godbrother Chutananda saying before he came, of course, everybody was at the park, and before they came to the temple, and that was it was a unique experience, even as it was described in secondhand, that it was obvious that there was something happening. Matter of fact, they named that record the Happening album. So that was a buzzword back then, back in the 60s. And so we all felt that somehow or other things were changing, although it was not necessarily what we thought. But gradually it caught up, and when Maharaj was going over the various, how can you say, progressive steps that Prabhupada was introducing, from the society to the books, well, for the books first, and then the society, and then, the temples and the association. That especially the association, it resonated, because it wasn't so much coming to the temple. I had no appreciation for Vedic tradition. I didn't know what the deities were. The kirtan, we had seen the devotees on the street for many years, so we understood that this is part of the Hare Krishna movement. I challenged the first devotee I ever met face to face and said, "What are you guys doing? I mean, this is not in the Bhagavad Gita, this chanting on the streets dressed in robes." And he corrected me in a very New York way. And I was very appreciative. And I took the invitation to go to the Henry Street Temple. And so for me, association, so going to the Henry Street Temple and then meeting devotees who had a common realization. It wasn't like groupthink or what we would normally think of some type of a cult, because that's in the back of our mind. We had seen so many other, the Integral Yoga Society, the Snatch of the Dollar Society, all these different people were there at the time. But when we met the devotees, these were all, from my perspective, very deep thinkers. I didn't understand what realization was, because I had none. But they were able to explain concepts